Y'all, we did it, y'all. Thank you for rocking out with me. During our Mad Max welcome to the Thunderdome week that we have had. I'm not wearing my mask because the air in my area is at 59, 56 air shits, which is still bad for people who have conditions with lungs, but it's no longer murder, death, kill air. I did wear a mask this morning to take out the garbage, but I didn't wear a mask in my car and I was coughing. You see, my car is full of dust. I think that's dust. That might be Canada soot, but it's not painful to breathe. So, I got masks at work. If it gets bad, I'll just put one on. I got my little car air cleaner going. And that's it. So it's clearing up. I did take a little video so I could have good footage for the mesothelioma case we're going to have to place against Canada in a decade. When I look like Tom Hanks from Philadelphia, because the Canadian bacon cancer is going to get us. Child, what is going on in the news? What is going on in the news? Well, it's irritating. It's very irritating out here. I had to pause the video to get my coffees out. My coffee, not coffee, but coughs out. It's very bad. Let's talk about toting the line. So as I become more of because I used to be a lurker. I used to be a lurker for many reasons. One, it's like when you get into an altercation with a quiet person and they not saying nothing and they walking away, and most people might find that as a sense of weakness, but it's actually because that quiet person is batshit crazy, knows their level of crazy, and is pretty much doing that for your protection, not theirs. They're not scared. They just don't feel like being in county for the weekend because it's Friday and they're not going to see a judge till Monday kind of situation. That was me when it came to being online, because I took the line, crossing the line, or maybe even dancing on the line was me. And I know a lot of people don't get my wit, don't get my humor. A lot of people aren't as open as me. And a lot of people in my circle are indoctrinated. They're not free thinkers. They're not open. They basically toe the line. They follow the same religion that their parents followed, that their parents' parents followed. They're not free thinkers. They're not students of the school of Ayn Rand. They're not objectivists. So for me to comment on something that they put on, to me would be an unnecessary retort back and forth, because I am not here to proselytize or change your mind. I'm not. So if I tend to disagree with something, what the fuck does it matter? Doesn't matter. I respect your journey. I respect your beliefs. If you believe, for example, that Jesus is your Lord and Savior, that works for you. I don't believe he's my Lord and Savior. I also don't disagree that he's your Lord and Savior. So this then stemmed up from a blogger that I watch, Jen on the Block. I have brought her up before. She is from the Bronx. She's a woman in her 50s, very attractive, looks nowhere near 50. I would give her about a 35. She's a grandmother. She lives somewhere in the Midwest right now. And she's Puerto Rican. She doesn't identify racially. And I've heard that from many Puerto Ricans, including my husband, that Puerto Rico is so mixed up, as far as genetics and lineage and history, that Puerto Rico seems to have become a race, even though it's an ethnicity, and then and above that a nationality, right? But you got Puerto Ricans in America or Puerto Ricans other place else that has never stepped foot in on the island of Puerto Rico. But when you ask them what they are, they'll say Puerto Rico. I'm not here to debate, but anyway, she has children and relationships with black men. She explains that her father, if you was to walk up with him, you would identify him as a black man. Okay, I say that to say she had a video on atheism, atheist versus religious. I loved it. It was 4 hours long. I watched all 4 hours. Her goal was to have other religions up there. She had atheist, spiritual, agnostic, atheist, and she was trying to open the panel to other people besides Christians, but that's all she could get as far as the religious people were concerned. It was Christians, a white Christian, a black Christian, and another white Christian who looked like Jesus, like a fat Jesus. So anyway, I am 100% atheist because I am a computer. Let's just say that. I compute. I'm logical. 1 + 1 have to equal 2. If I do a science experiment in Virginia, the outcome is blue. I do the same, a science experiment in New York City, the outcome is blue. That is how my brain works. I'm not saying that's how your brain should work. That is how my brain works. I'm glad that she brought up the fact that when you tell people you're an atheist, because, and actually, let me retract that. Atheists don't tell people they're atheists. We don't go around saying that we're atheists. We are asked. And usually when something about God and or Jesus is brought up, and then you have to explain, I'm an atheist. Or when somebody says, God bless you, I jokingly say, I don't believe in God, but thank you for your positivity and well wishes on my family. Because not to shoot them down and not to be unappreciative that they are spending time out of their day to pray for me, for my family, but they're usually looking for a response, kind of like, I don't know if this is a good example. When you say to someone, Assalamu alaikum, they say back to you, Alaikum Saman, right? It's the response that they're looking for, that one Christian says to another. And I don't want to make them think I'm a rude person, or I don't wish well on their family. I just gently want to let them know, because this is a hard pill to swallow, I don't believe in God. Or I would say, there is no God, thank you very much. If you're confident enough to express to me, especially in a work setting, it happens a lot, your beliefs in God, I then too am allowed to say how I feel about the idea of God. There is no God, but thank you, I appreciate for you having thoughts and prayers in of my family. Because if you are going to a church, like my son had surgery, and a lot of my co-workers let me know that they were going to light a candle for my son, that they were going to go to the church for my son to protect him. Somebody said they were going to talk to St. Anthony, because most of them are Catholic, and you don't talk directly to God as a Catholic. Am I correct? You talk to the saints, right? So, they were going to St. Anthony and yada, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I would say, thank you so much. I appreciate it, because they were just telling me what they were going to do. Now, somebody handed me a prayer and a medallion and said, you need to do this before. And I said, oh my gosh, I appreciate this so much. I don't believe in God. So I'm not going to do this, but I do appreciate all of everything that you guys are doing on behalf of my son. For me, I don't believe in God. The questions that I got following up to it, to me, was astonishing, because these aren't young people. These are people in their 50s and 60s. Oh, so you don't believe in God? What do you believe in? I said, nothing. I don't believe in anything as far as a higher power. I believe in energy, people, and I believe in people, and I believe in energy, and I believe in balance, which has nothing to do with um, believing in a higher power or spirituality. I believe that everything has to be balanced. That's what I believe in, right? So somebody said, well, you don't worship the devil, do you? And I said, if I don't believe in God, I can't worship his arch nemesis. And they were kind of taken aback by that. If I'm an atheist, I don't believe in God, what would make you think I worship the devil? Not saying that worshiping the devil is bad. If I don't believe in God, I don't subscribe to his enemy, quote unquote, the opposite, the yin and the yang. I don't believe in the yin. Why would I believe in the yang? Doesn't make any sense. I didn't say it like that, but I said it jokingly, like, no, dummy. I didn't say dummy. And then it opened the dialogue, which I understand. I am the token. I've explained in my other video with microaggressions. I am the only representation of a person of color, a BIPOC, that these people have had their entire life. They're born in that town, they married in that town, they went to high school in that town, and now they work in that town. Their experiences are limited to getting their hair braided when they go on a cruise and they stop in the Bahamas. Pretty much most of them. Not the millennials, because we're different. Talking about the baby boomers that I work with and the Gen Xers. So I understand that. I got it. Here it comes. Nicole lesson on atheism and why I don't believe. And then somebody who thought they were helping me, I guess, explain this, was like, oh, because the church is so corrupt, and I could understand why people you want to believe because of the church. And I said, well, the great thing about atheists is that because we don't believe, the only thing we believe in is that there is no empirical, physical evidence of a higher being. Therefore, we do not believe. The reasons why we don't believe are individualized. It might be because somebody was born and bred in the church, didn't like what was going on, and chose not to believe all right. Or it could be, in my case, evidentiarily based. I don't believe because I don't see. And then they said, can you see air? You don't believe in air, you could see air. I said, you absolutely can see air. You can't see it with the naked eye, but air has particles in it. Those particles are moving, therefore there's evidence you could see it. Now, if God wanted to use something else to show his or her or its existence, because I guess God is gender non-binary, right? If that's the case, then I would accept that. But we don't see that either. And they were talking about, what about miracles? What about this? What about that? I said, if it could be explained by science, if it could be explained by this, it could be explained by that. Da, 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 da. And then this conversation might have seemed long, but it literally was less than 5 minutes, because what I can do now, I can definitely shut down a conversation on race or on religion and race. I'm really good at that because I'm logical. Remember that. I'm not speaking from emotion. I'm not speaking from faith. I'm speaking from logic. So what we know as humans on earth, intellects that are intellectual and have access to um, knowledge and information, is that there are over 4,000 religions on planet earth. Over 4,000. A lot of them who follow Abraham think there's three: the Jews, the Muslims, the Christians. And for some reason, as years have gone on, It seems like Catholics have been removed from Christians and have become their own religion, but by definition, Catholics are Christians. So let's say the big four, because I think Catholicism is bigger than regular Christianity. So let's say the big four: Catholics, Catholics, Christians, Jews and Muslims, Muslims and Jews, whatever. Christians, I feel, and Catholics, I feel, are trying to take over the wheel as far as the big four. And they're not. Christians want to be in charge, especially on the West. Christianity is not the majority religion on this planet. Google it, right? Just by sheer numbers alone. You don't have enough people, not your reach, not your influence on the planet and politicians, just as far as bodies go. I find, because I dabbled in it all, even Scientology, when I won't call them Black Israelites, but that's not it. When the Harlem Muslims teamed up with the Scientologists, I even dabble in that, not to follow, but as far as research purposes go. So I studied a lot of them, and at one point I was walking around saying that I was a practicing Buddhist, but as the time went on, I just couldn't eat that. That didn't even speak to me either. So I just said, because we're a country that loves labels. We love a label. The best label that fits me is atheist, right? Even though I think I'm more than that. I think I'm somewhere in between spiritual and atheist, but society doesn't have a word for that yet. It's not God. So I can't say I'm a theist that believes in God. I don't believe in God. I believe in some energy that's going around. It's definitely an energy that's going around. I just don't know. That is the best way I could describe it. And it might be just the pull of the magnetic field is what I'm feeling. Who knows? I just don't want to invest the time and the energy to explore that because I like where I fit right now. Works for me. But I feel the most dangerous as far as being in America and as far as people of color, I feel like Christians are the most dangerous because Christians are not unified. They're not. They can't even agree, and this was shown up on Jen's video. They can't even agree what race Jesus was. If you go to different churches, Jesus looks different in every church. And for a long time, 400 or 500 years, was a white Jesus in the homes of Black families. Blonde hair, blue-eyed, real good lace front, right? No, Jesus would have worn a full lace. You could do ponytails, not lace front. Let me give more respect on Jesus. Jesus would have had a full lace, baby. So that was on the homes of Black folk. That was in my grandmama's home. That nice, misty, high filter Jesus picture was hanging up on her wall next to Martin Luther King. And if you had a real old Black mama, what's the president that got shot? Oh my God, I'm tired, guys. Anyway, the president that got shot in the car, Martin Luther King, and a white Jesus. That was on the wall in the good dining room, baby. In the good dining room. So, but this was shown in 21 Jump Street, the new one. You go to a Korean church, Jesus is Korean. Still look white, but look Korean. You go to these modern churches and Jesus looks like an Israeli, Middle Eastern man of color. So, based on the locations, the Christians can't decide on what their Jesus looks like. And that goes to show, not because they're not, they don't know, and it's the ignorance. And I think the worst practicing Christian on this planet is the American. We're lazy. Just goes to show how Christianity was used as a control tool. It's not lost on me, but is it lost on you that the slaves and the slave masters were praying to the same God. So then who was crazy? Were the slaves crazy or were the slave owners crazy? I don't understand how the oppressed and the oppressor are praying to the same God. Make it make sense. And this is how my brain works. How did slave masters give you a book when it was illegal for you to read? Because religion is used as a tool for oppression and control. That's exactly what it was. If you gave the slaves a mentality that there was something greater than life on this earth, there was something better to look forward to, Mecca, a heaven, if you will. If you gave them that false hope, they would not revolt, because you have taught them about suffering, and Christianity is about suffering. You teach them that you do the suffering now to get your nirvana later. If the slaves stuck with the mentality that this is as good as it gets and there's nothing else, there would have been more uprising, more murders, slavery would have not lasted 400 years without the help of Christianity. Come on. So when I have these conversations with the believers, I'm stuck with and this is it. Tell me if you heard this before. We don't know why God does what he does. God works in mysterious ways. He does what he wants, what he does at the. And my sentiments echo Jen. Then that makes your God a psychopath. Your God is a child with a magnifier glass and an ant farm. He's narcissistic. He's selfish. He's a sadist. Why are you putting wings on this God that is so terrible? If God was a human and did all these things, you would be trying to get away from him. Right? It seems like the real villain in the Bible that you guys use as a blueprint, the real villain is God. Okay? Let's do story time. And this is Googleable. I thought it was one. I was wrong. How many people did the devil actually kill in the Bible? I thought it was one. But I read the Bible cover to cover 20 years ago. I don't remember. I read the Bible, the Quran, and a translated oh my God, Torah, right? The Torah, the Jewish one, cover to cover, when I was 21 trying to find my religious identity. Translated, right? So how great was that translation? So also with the Quran translated. And the Bible is translated, right? So I'm only as good as the translated version that I wrote as far as my education. I'm going to take it that it was right. I'm not falling down the rabbit hole. But anyway, I thought it was only one person that the devil actually killed, but some researchers say it's 10. How many people in the Bible did did God actually kill? It's over 2.3 million. 10 versus 2.3 million. So when I say that, they go, oh, my God is a selfish God, especially the black ones. My God's a selfish God. Da, 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 da. If he was a man, you would have broke up with him. Just say you're following this sociopath, this psychopathic entity, because he offers you salvation at the end of the tunnel, which is getting into the kingdom of heaven. Just say, I'm doing this so I can go to heaven. I would have more respect for a person that said, I'm doing this. This is what works for me. I do this. I don't know if it'll work for you, but this is what I do. I would have so much respect on that, except I will pray for your soul. I'm so sorry for you. You might not believe in God, but God believes in you. Why am I demonized? And don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Why am I getting that? Because I don't believe what you believe. Again, it's control. It's control. Aren't you worried for your soul? Aren't you worried about your soul? No, I don't believe in the soul. How could I be worried about it? And I say, prove God exists. And you know what they tell me? Prove that God doesn't exist. How do you prove something that doesn't exist? Say it again with me. Say it again with me. It doesn't make sense. You cannot prove a negative. Are unicorns real? They'll tell me no. Prove to me unicorns aren't real. It's the same logic I'm going to give you to prove that God is not real. The burden of proof is on you, boo-boo. You're the one aggressively trying to get me to believe. I'm not trying to get you not to believe. Anyway, I could talk forever about these religious retorts. Happy Friday, everybody. We did it. The air is I guess breathable now, but I'll give you more updates, and as my videos go on, you'll see if the Canadian bacon then took over my body. All right, I'm cute. Bye.